The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Digital Manufacturing Talks. My name is Tyler Fenhouse. I'm the Marketing Manager for Symphony AI Industrial, and we've got a great informational talk lined up for you today, which is Connected Workers in Pharma 4.0. As you may know, Symphony AI Industrial is a leader in industrial AI solutions in digital manufacturing, plant performance and optimization, and connected worker. Symphony AI Industrial is a Symphony AI vertical. There are several Symphony AI verticals. You can see them there on your screen. And we are one of the largest, if not the largest, enterprise AI companies with more than 1,600 customers and 3,000 employees. We are presenting on the GoToWebinar platform, and we have a good deal of participants today. So you will be muted throughout the presentations, but we still want your questions. You'll be able to ask Peter, the presenter, questions at the end of this webinar live right here, and you can type them in on the right side of your screen on your questions panel. There's a section in there called questions, and you can type those in there as our presentation goes along, so make sure you're typing those in. We also will be asking you multiple choice poll questions, so be on the lookout for those. All right, Peter's got a lot of content to get to, so I'm going to hand it off to him, and we're going to get this presentation started. So Peter, take it away.
Thank you, Tyler. Welcome, everyone. Just a quick introduction on myself. I'm an engineer with 30 years of experience in industry, most of it in supply chain management, and the last 8 years in connected worker in different industries. Among them, all of my life I've been quite a bit in process and semi-process industries, and in particular in the life sciences. Let's start with a poll question, Tyler. Maybe everybody can vote whether connected workers is on the agenda of the company, of their company, whether it's a high priority thing with short-term actions, let's say in 2023, whether it's more, okay, we are aware of it, in the next few years we'll do something about it, or no, we have no needs, or it has already been taken care of.
All right, and we do have a poll question right out the gate. Go ahead, it's just a radio button, click to vote, and this will just kind of guide where Peter's presentation is going to go this morning. So if you haven't voted already, go ahead on your screen, just go ahead and click to vote. And it looks like about 40% of you have voted. If you have not voted yet, go ahead and get those votes in. And looks like about 60%. Click if you have not voted yet. All right, let's take a look. And it looks like high priority, 0 to 12 months, 33%, and the rest of the room, 67% awareness of the needs, and we'll take initiative in 12 to 36 months. Back to you, Peter.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, and that's, I think, normal, because in pharma, these things get a little bit more time to plan them, because there are a couple of constraints when you deploy this type of solution in that type of an environment. Come to that later. Frontline workers in life sciences industries. Before we talk about connecting them, we should have a look at who they are and what kind of tasks they're doing. Well, the typical thing is they're doing line monitoring, changeovers of a line, cleaning of a line, clearance of a line, let's say controlling that the line is clean and ready to start a new batch, all kinds of start-stop interventions, taking samples, but they're also doing the regular things like maintaining and repairing their assets, inspecting the assets, and of course, environment, health, and safety is a important topic in this type of industry. But then you get also things that are less, I would say, common in other industries, like in a lab, quite a bit of equipment calibration and specific sample processing. Now, all of these things are done by operators on the line, by inspectors, by technicians, by lab technicians. That's maybe a crowd of people that is more particular for the life sciences industry, analysts and process engineers or analysts as well. Now, what do these people use today? Most of these people are using today, the example is there, an equipment calibration log, an Excel sheet, Word documents, PDF documents specifying how to clean the machine on the right-hand side. And you see a form there on a sample that is being processed in the middle, and a paper form that allows to write down all the findings. Could also be a calibration that the person is doing. Okay, these documents are the traditional, I would say the traditional way of handling it. And the question now is that good? Is that bad? Well, a document, whether it's a form or whether it's a Word document, doesn't matter, on a PC or a piece of paper in your hand, or an SOP that is printed. All of that is fine to read. Documents are fine to read, but they're not so useful while you're working, because imagine that you're doing a calibration of a machine, you need your two hands, and then you're not going to sit down and read a 10-page SOP. There is also no execution trail. Did you read it? Did you follow the steps? We don't know. It's a one-directional communication. This is how you do the calibration of the equipment. Where can I tell? Well, something's broken here, or something is not functioning the way it should function. There is no two-way communication. And in many of these SOPs, we refer to other SOPs. In case this is dirty, then you not only calibrate, but you better replace it. And replacing is another SOP, but nobody walks around with 10 SOPs in his hands. And that's the challenges we're already facing today with these documents, with these forms, as you see one in the background. But if you think about tomorrow, we will even have many more challenges, being the fact that you can put a document, that the one that you see, for example, in the background, you can put it on a small display of smart glasses, let's say a RealWear or an Iristic or another device. Technically you can put it on, but the problem is that it's not digestible for your eye. Much too much information on a too small screen, which is quite close to your eye. And so I would say the only result is going to be a headache in a very short time frame, rather than helping you. But also other things for the future. If everything is in a document, in a PDF, how will you be able to make that, I would say, useful in a context where you work with a digital assistant, a smart assistant like a Siri or a Google Assistant? And it always assumes that this is how you calibrate the equipment. But do you have 2 years of experience, 2 days, or 20 years? Your information needs are also different, and there is no personalization. This is a one-size-fits-all. So quite some challenges with these forms and documents. And so my first conclusion is, a document is fine to read, but the problem is, while you work, you need guidance. And guidance is a different thing. When what you're seeing here is a couple of surgeons at work, and it's not a coincidence. 8 years ago, we started with a question of surgeons wanting to use a Google Glass. Okay, for many reasons, the project was too early at that time, but we learned basically everything from this situation, because surgeons are the ultimate deskless workers, ultimate people to be connected and needed to be informed, but having to focus on the job that they're doing and needing their two hands. And so what did these people give us as a feedback? Whatever you tell me, make sure it's snackable in a blink, because otherwise you're distracting me. Sounds logical, but it's quite essential. Make sure it's accessible. If I turn my back and walk to a terminal to find out, I need to, in the case of a surgeon, I need to pick up the tools again. I might be lost in terms of a concentration. So I want it, in their case, on my nose. In other situations, it might be well to have it in your hands. A third thing is this: if you tell me something, that is very correct, but not relevant for what I'm doing right now, it's not good because it's distracting me. So whatever you tell me should match my real workflow. And the last thing is, I would say, quite heavily related to the third point. When I'm telling you things that are quite obvious to you, because your skill level is so high, well, then I'm distracting you, because I'm constantly telling you things you don't need to be told. And so those 4 simple rules make it quite a challenge if you really want to guide people at work. And so life sciences, I would say, was at the start and at the source of the whole development of the platform that we built, a platform called Proceedix. So accessible and snackable content is the takeaway I would like to put here for connecting workers if you want to guide them in a meaningful and a good way. The other thing is, beware when you do POCs, there is a world of difference between a classroom and the real field. In the field, you need to wear personal protective materials. That can mean, for example, safety glasses. There might be safety risks. You need to hold tools in your hand. A shift, and that's maybe the most important one, a shift is 8 hours, and that's quite a bit. If you need to, let's say, wear smart glasses for 8 hours, not all smart glasses will be wearable for 8 hours. The classroom is a different thing. It's secure, you can't hurt yourself, it's a controlled situation, and a lesson is an hour or 30 minutes, which is a totally different thing. So beware when you talk about guiding people, it's not the same as training people, and definitely not when you're training them in a classroom. When you're training them on the job, it becomes, I would say, the same rules apply as guiding them, because then it's really on the job while they're doing it. Now the technology, well, the technology is there, and I would say to do 2 things. It's either instruct people or inform them, and that can be do it this way. Could be in logistics, could be in the operations themselves, or inspect it. Product quality, process quality, assets. Check this, check that. Of course, both in the instruction and in the inspection, there is always a part of informing. Beware that the pressure in the vessel is this or that, or beware that somebody else entered the room. So information is a connecting pin, both on the instructions and inspections. And then there is another thing. When it doesn't work, what you need to do, you might call for assistance. It used to be a person joining you on the floor. Today, it can be a person joining you on the floor virtually, just by connecting with a video streaming application to an expert 1,000 miles away, but able to watch, for example, through the cameras of your smart glasses, see what you see and tell you what you need to do. So if we talk about frontline workers, people, deskless workers, people doing a job somewhere on the shop floor, in the lab, but not behind a desk, the wearables, we need wearables because these people are mobile, so they move, so you need something they can take with them or can take on them. And what we are showing here is, can be a smartphone, it can be smart glasses, like you see this lady doing a line clearance. It might be a surgeon or that does an action, and that's completely recorded by these smart glasses, as you see here, or assisted for an implant by a product expert not present in the room. It could be on your wrist, which is basically a phone fixed on your hand, and it could be smart watches. Smallest phone, this, by the way, is the smallest phone, weighs 60 grams, is a palm phone, and this is just a sensor to keep the distance. So all of these devices out there, to wearable definitely, to connect workers, and either to do 3 things. One of both of the 3 or all of them. Monitor people. This is definitely a monitor tool. Where are you? keep a distance, so position, inform them what they need to do, when they need to do, how they need to do, or to record. What are you doing? How are you doing it? When are you doing it? Who is doing it? These are the three, I would say, well, the three use cases or the reasons why you give people those variables, and in order to connect them for one of these or more of these than one of these three reasons. So frontline takeaway means wearable, but wearable is more than smart glasses. Wearable is anything that you see here. So we could launch a second poll, Tyler, and now asking the audience, why are they currently, if they are at least connecting workers, for what reason are they, or would they be aiming to connect workers? Is it to monitor them, health, position? Is it to inform them? Is it to record what they're doing, or is it a few of the above? Tyler?
Sorry about that. I was talking earlier and I was muted. The poll question is up, Peter. About 50% of the room is voted. Go ahead and get your votes in, and like we said before, it'll kind of guide Peter's presentation. So go ahead and click to vote. 75% of the room is voted. Get those votes in, and we will continue on our way here. All right, 80%. Click if you haven't voted yet. All right, let's take a look at the results. So 17% mainly to monitor, mainly to inform, both 17%, and then 2 or 3 of the above, majority of the room, 67%. Back to you.
Okay, makes sense. That in a life science environment, it's not only about informing people, it's also about compliance, and therefore, in many cases, recording stuff. So that makes definitely sense. Now, informing, instructing, controlling inspections, and recording what has been inspected. There are various cases in the life sciences industries and in different areas, and I'll just go quickly over them. In the lab, laboratory information systems, but samples are taken, machines are calibrated. So how to process a sample, how to calibrate a machine, typical instruction. Inspections, the lab equipment, does it need to be calibrated? Is it clean? Is it ready to use? Is it useful in that lab? In the 5S, that's one of the questions of a 5S on the lab equipment, for example. So lots of both instructions and inspections around those tools, samples that are present in a lab. Most of it is document, is forms. And a LIMS system definitely has no document management features, or is not most of, I would say most of all LIMS systems. In the production, we're talking a manufacturing execution system. Here it's about line clearance, line changeover. Inspections is about the functioning of the line. Again, documents. In those systems, you will not find document management as a solution. Because maintenance, in maintenance, it's about assets, how to repair them, but it's as well on inspecting assets and what to check about these assets. Again, most of it, of these instructions and inspections are formulated in documents and forms. And again, these systems do not have a document management system. Then the last two, quality management systems, is about reporting quality issues, qualifying, make sure the CAPAs are on their way and launched. But they also inspect things. Oh, question about audit, how people are doing things. And again, as I said, inspections about product and process quality. Most of it, again, in document and forms, but here in a QMS, you will find also a document solution to maintain version management of documents and change trails and all these things. Environment, health, and safety, it's all about incident monitoring. again, doing inspections, again, on environment, health, and risk topics, of course, but also how to do a certain audit. Some audits are complex and need instructions on how to do it, well, again, managed with document and forms. And again, in this type of a system, you will find document management solutions. So in various, I would say, locations, functions of life sciences industries, you talk about a lot about instructions, how to do things, and inspections, checking and control. Now, I took a 10-pager document, SOP, of how to calibrate a machine in a lab. This is just one page. Nobody reads this document while they're doing the calibration. You can't sit down, you need your hands. And so the way to do it, if you really, there is nothing wrong with the SOP. The SOP is very useful for training people up front, for consultation, that's fine. You don't need to throw it away. The only point is this: when you want, and you definitely want, that a number of the SOPs are made actionable to guide people while they're doing what they need to do and recording that they've done it the way they should do it, then for those SOPs, you should also make them as a workflow, step by step, specify by task, questions that you want to ask them, or instructions that you want to give them, which are snackable in a blink. So guiding is an essential thing. For guiding is having a workflow. And then in a workflow, you're going to need features like conditional paths. If you tell me the pressure is this or the conductivity measurement is that, you need to do this. If the value is between two other border, between another range, you need to do something else. If it's out of the range, you need to do something totally different. So all these conditional things, and people at work, they just answer or they just measure, and they don't care about this and about that if this is the path they need to take. And that's what needs to happen. You ask me something, measure this, I'll measure it. Now you tell me automatically what's next. And that what next can depend on the value that I was measuring. And this is specified in a workflow, but when you're executing it, you don't see that workflow. You only see the next task to be done. And then you also need action workflows. Okay, it's out of the range. We need to launch an action, a kappa, come and replace this, come and check it. That is also needed, of course. So one of these blocks could mean launch an action. So guiding means routing people. And then, as I already explained, it can happen in a life science environment. A little bit different from another industry is a very big central piece here on the lab thing. Quality, health, safety, environment, crucial. Learning of people is crucial. So, okay, of course you have MES and you have warehouses, but these things like labs are more common and need more, there is more activity going on. Well, in all of these environments, you need instructions and inspections, and you have people that doing it or controlling it, and they need to be guided. And that's what the connected worker solution does, but in very different situations with very different workflows in the production compared to in the lab, compared to somewhere a safety check. Connection is key, of course, because otherwise the people doing it, they are disconnected from what the backend system is asking, and then both asking to do and asking what has been done. So connectivity is key to inform them and to update what has been done. And so I would say this picture is no different for any other industry. You have to connect people, operators with tablets, phones, smart glasses. That's fine. You can also connect them with devices to, for example, have a real life view on a certain inspection, what the temperature in the vessel is, while you can't see it, but you want to know it because you're inspecting it. Those things, remote assistance, that's all. That's not abnormal. Connecting it with ERP, not abnormal. But in the life science environments, you will find more connection requests with laboratory information systems and definitely also with QMS, quality management systems, systems like TrackWise Digital, just to name one, or Viva, you have those systems. And then you could say, but yeah, okay, we have a QMS, we have an environment health and safety system, might be the same, by the way, in the life science industry, and we have an e-learning system. Why do we need to connect our workers? Well, okay, as you see in these different systems, and there is quite an overlap, like PAPAs, you find them in quality, but you find them in the environment, health and safety, and therefore in the pharma, most of the times this is one system. But okay, documents on how to do something, to train people, is e-learning, but it's definitely needed in, if it's about environmental thing, also in the document management system of the EHS. If it might be related to other stuff, it might be more on how to deal with an out of tolerance situation, it might be in the QMS. So documents are everywhere to train them, to tell you how to handle it. The difference is this: when you connect your worker and you just give them electronically this document, beware, they will not read it while they're doing it. If you want to make it actionable, then you make it a workflow. And then you can also ask them, task one, did you do it? Did you have a comment? Is there a feedback? What is the value? Well, you record all these things. So you have a trace, a proof that it has been done. And so I would say connecting workers in the life science industry is complementary to this story. It's just making a number of these documents actionable and traceable and also executable offline, and allowing them to capture any non-conformity and to initiate CAPAs, which can be taken up further down the road in any of these systems, and recording what people are doing and how good these people are doing, and therefore adjusting their skill level in these LMS learning management systems. So it's just the connected worker is a complement to all of this. As you make some of these documents, and you don't need to make all of them, but some of these documents you make actionable. And then when you make it actionable, two things that are more on the agenda, obviously in a very controlled environment like life science, where you need traceability, it's security on access. Who is at work? You didn't take my password, I hope. Well, with a single sign-on and a two-factor authentication, we're pretty sure that you is you and not somebody else with your name and password, using your name and password. So systems need to be SOC 2 audited. There must be recording audit trails. The system must be validated by GAMP in all installation and performance testing and everything that is needed. That is a must. Another thing is when you sign something, at least when it's GXP compliant, we need to know who is signing, when he's signing, reason for signing. It must be immutable stamp and also the reason for signing. Now you could handle that, for example, by connecting a report with DocuSign, which has a GXP compliant or a CFR 20 part 11, CFR 21. Part 11 compliant signature solution. You can sign it, but that's things that typically come on top when you connect workers. You ask them to sign something, okay, and you sign in let's say a food industry, you just sign, that's okay. In here, it might be a little bit more difficult when it comes down to a GXP case or situation. So that's something to pay attention to. Connecting the workers is, well, the platform. If you want to connect workers in a good way, you should focus a lot on the fact that people are doing things. So you're supporting them, guiding them while they're executing. In order to do so, your workflow must have the features like conditional paths to guide them to the relevant things next to do. The device, well, sometimes you need your hands-free, that's smart glasses, sometimes you don't. Phone is fine. So the solution should be device agnostic and in the future, smart and connected, meaning leveraging AI making it personal based on your skill level, that type of thing is definitely a topic for the future. If all of this doesn't work on what you need to do or what you need to control right now, call for assistance. That might go through a very specialized smart glass solution like AMA Expertise, or it might go through a Teams on a PC. Either way, you must be able to connect workers with other experts at that moment in time to assist them, because the structured workflow for one way or another wasn't able to help them cope with the situation at hand. And anything that you say and do must be registered and accessed in a SOC 2 GXP compliant platform. Otherwise, you will have an issue in this type of environment. The value, well, you can imagine you can do a lot of things. I already mentioned that. It could be inspections, sample in the lab. It could be inspections of the line on the shop floor. It could be inspections of an installation that does wastewater treatment. It can be anything. About quality, reliability of assets, and then how to do things, how to start the line, how to do the cleaning, how to do the line clearance. But it's about productivity. I'll come to that in a second. Now, let's look at a case in a life science environment. This is a case about the lab. Of course, they have a lot of labs, R&D labs, preclinical, clinical labs. It's a real life case. And one thing you need to do in these labs, you need to do many more things, but one of the controls you need to do every so many months is a 5S, 5M audit. Okay, this is how it happens traditionally. Piece of paper, then you write down what is wrong, you send people mail, you call them if there is urgency, you track all of these non-conformities in an Excel, you follow up on it with mails and so on. You can imagine what an administration that requires. Now imagine a totally different world. You scan with a device the code of the lab. You get the right questions, because some labs have freezers, other labs are storing chemicals, different situations, different things need to be controlled, different questions need to be asked. Okay, supporting information, pictograms that need to be present. Okay, which pictograms? Where do I need to pay attention to? Is that immediately available as a second information when I'm doing the control, whether everything is labeled the right way? Conditional parts, as I said, what do I need to do when it's not okay? Dynamic information like equipment, constantly used, and calibration can be valid for a window of 3 months. If that window has been passed, okay, I need to know what was the last time the equipment was calibrated, or the shelf life of a product. These are dynamic data. I need to get it immediately. I don't need to figure it out by accessing another computer and finding. I want to do it maybe hands-free in some labs, in other labs with a phone or a smart or a tablet. When I work with glasses, I can't tap, I need to speak, so it should support voice commands. It must allow me to document everything that I find with pictures, comments, videos. Every non-conformity, every request for assistance is a kappa, is a workflow that I need to be able to initiate and send to those people. I need to send at the end of the inspection reports to my supervisor, but also notifications when actions are occurring, and definitely when it's about dangerous situations. You want people to be informed. All of these things need to happen automatically, and you want to have a follow-up when an action is closed automatically. You want a full audit trail, and you want KPI dashboards. How many of my labs are late right now in respect to the 5S audits that should have been happening? All of these things should be automatically in. You can imagine that if this is paper, Excel, mail, and phone, asking these simple questions becomes quite a challenge. Now, okay, I have a non-confidential, fake, I would even call it, very small example where I ask you, who are you? Of course, You could do that with a login as well, just to make it a little bit visible for you. We ask it with, okay, if there are any actions open on this lab, if it's clean. If it's not clean, then I need to take an action. If it's clean, no action, no questions asked, just jump over it and so on. And then you want to have these reports with all these, tick the box, automatically derived from the execution. It must be very visible and clean and clear for people that do it. Do this now on this lab, on this lab inspection 5S, on this lab, eye washing inspection, on the expiration date of the product. That's how the product should look like. Is it okay? Yes. Is it not okay? Click no, and then we'll tell you what you need to do. And of course, this is now a very, call it a learning example of a 5S or a few tasks of a 5S inspection, but you can have, of course, other lab health, environment, and safety inspections, technician audits, are you logging samples or analysis the right way in your logbook, inspecting installations, calibration, inspections, Gemba walks, you name it, many more things can happen in such a environment. But let me show it for a second, how it looks like. Might be interesting. First, let me show the 5S. I'll take a 5S lab inspection, and sorry, need to sign in, of course. So a while ago that I was working here in the demo environment. I will do that. I will ask for the 5S, the lab inspection. There we are. And I will go to the flow editor, which is the most important thing, and I'll show it graphically. So here you see the steps. Who are you? Okay, scan your badge, just an example. The history, but is it clean? Yes or no? And what does it mean? And if it's no, well, launch an action. An action is non-conformity. If it's okay, just jump on it, and just ask the next question. Questions about the washing, for example. And that is an interesting one, because the eye product you're using could be different in lab 1 compared to lab 2. And so we here don't specify it. We have one model, configurable model flow. And depending on the lab that I will select, I will get the right image of the product that is relevant for eye washing here. And if it's another product somewhere else, I will see another picture. And that's the same thing with the burner, the lab burner, maybe a different thing. The lab burner in 2 labs is not the same lab burner. And so I'll show you the relevant right picture depending on the lab that you were selecting. If I go now to my telephone, because I'm just using my telephone, and I have, by the way, I have many apps. Let me first make sure that my lab screen, my screen is shown. Let me make sure that happens. So here we are. You see my screen of my phone. You see on my phone plenty of apps. One of the apps is Proceedix. One of the many things I can do is, of course, the lab, the 5S, the lab inspection, the 5S lab inspection. And in here, I don't have a choice. I could scan a code, but it's going to have to be one of these 3, because in this case, we just want people scan sometimes very weird things, and no mistakes allowed. So we'll check whatever you scan, it must be one of these 3 labs, otherwise you're not authorized to get into more or into different labs or do these inspections. So I don't scan it, but I just pick it by touching it. If you wear glasses, you prefer, of course, to scan. Okay, I'll take this lab, and first thing is scan my badge, capable target. And then check open actions, no open actions, that's nice. On this lab, is the area clean? And I'll say no. Okay, I click on this red button, and because I said no, it says, yeah, but then you need to send me an action of a non-conformity. Okay, I'll do that. I'll give it this description, dirty. And I need to give a priority, and I need to give a due date, but I don't need to give a picture. That's optional. Okay, fine, I'll send you the action. It's launched, and I confirm, yeah, that's done. Then I continue, is the area cleaned on a regular basis? And this is the bin register, and this is the checking it. A question here to ask, is it cleaned on a regular basis? Yes. And this is the I product for this lab, by the way. Suddenly I get an image, and this is the burner of the lab. And then I continue everything, and I finish it, and it's done. What happens now? Two things. The first thing is this. I launched an action. Now, for simplicity, I send the action to myself. That avoids me to log out. And I go to the to-do, and I go to my to-do, and I see a non-conformity of this lab with the description dirty coming in my to-do because it was sent to myself to save myself the time to log out and go to another person. I send it to myself, and I have here the dirty, there was no picture taken, the due date, and I start the procedure, and it's a very simple thing on a non-conformity. Did you do the review? Yes, I did it. Could you take a video of it? Certainly, I can. This is just a video, a short fragment of a video. I confirm it, it's done. I say, that's good, it's clean now, and I finish it, and it's out of my list. It's out of my to-do list, and it's done. And so everything is done. And the last thing I want to show you is this. I go to the history now. Into the history, and I load everything. It can take a second because I'm using a webinar here at the same time, but there we are. The 5S lab inspection on this lab was done with a non-conformity that is already been taken up with all the details, start time, stop time per task, start time, stop time, duration, who did it, location, comments or values. This time this was the scan my batch that I did. The action was okay, cleaning was not okay. An action was launched with dirty, low priority to be done by the 19th of November. And then the cleaning was okay, and it was cleaned on a regular basis. Everything is logged. You can have detailed reports of that. You can find out more in history and evolutions in the Power BI. If you want that, I can show that as well. So all of the information is captured. And also, of course, if I go to the non-conformity, we have the video that is taken. Everything is logged and it's closed, case closed, I would say, and it's done. So that's one example. The other example, and you can imagine how much time this saves if you have a few labs to be controlled for all of these things on a regular basis. Okay, then I go to the other use case, which is a different life science case. In a clean room, on a wound care machine, wound care product machine, you do a changeover. And the changeover, and that's why I take this example, is one of the very few ones where the customer did observations. Okay, we're doing the changeover. 40 steps in a clean room, quite complex situation, and you have a physical changeover time, you have some preparation time, and then you need to adjust it to make sure that the right product with the new form or format comes out. And you get 2 hours, that's the target, time for an educated, trained, and experienced person. And then that's what you see, that's the benchmark line. And then they hand over people a phone on their sleeve and a smart glass on their head, the two, but that doesn't make a difference. And they ask people without any experience now, they took somebody else and they said, okay, do the changeover step by step. The expert was just observing, and he went step by step, or she went step by step through it. And what did they notice? Okay, the task themselves took a bit more, but the tuning was suddenly decreased. And the second time the person did, the tuning was decreased so much that in the end, it it was going down from 2 hours to 1 hour. And on top of the bill, they had full compliance, traceability. Yeah, step 1 was done when step 1 needed to be done, step 2, and everything was there also as a proof for compliance. And so the interesting thing here that I want to show you, just with an example, I'm going back to my phone, just want to take this example, and it's called a change ported review, and I'll call it the webinar test, whatever you want to call it. I could scan the machine, of course. That's what I really would do. Okay, this is a change ported review process on the webinar machine, and I need to change the format. Change the format. Okay, I've done it. By the way, if you want to add a comment or take a picture, a video at any task, you can do that. I can just add a note, blah, blah, blah. And I added a note. I confirm it, the task, clicking on the green button, and I can automatically see or get the next task. Okay, lift the item, I'll do it, click on the green button. I get now, take offline mode, take out offline mode and remove the roles. There are 3 dots here. Allow me to swipe with my finger and see, yes, that's what you mean. Okay, I'll change them there. And then I need to tell you how many roles I filled in, and I'll put 6. And 6 is green because that's the number of roles I needed to change. I click on the green button and I get to the position strip. And this is a very complicated sentence. Okay, if I'm very experienced, I know what to do. But there is a second dot here. I swipe to it, and that's a video. Just a video that I took, and I need to make a comment in the video, make sure it's aligned, and it's done. I do it, then position the primer port, backplate. Okay, I've done it. And now I'm waiting for a second because this is something particular. I'm waiting for a second, and I have it already. Okay, screencast is a little slower. What you see is I get, before I finish this complete inspection or instructions, sorry, I get an overview of the report with all the things that I said and done, and even my comment is there and my 6 rows. So I get, even before I finish this, I say, okay, fine, it corresponds with everything I've done, this is okay, and I'm informed about my report, not after the facts, but even while I'm doing it. Useful in pharma environments because people like to know what is put in the report before they finish it. And so that's something that I wanted you to see. Go back here to the presentation, put it in the presentation mode. So 5 reasons to empower inspections and instructions, of course, because it's the same reasoning, because you are, for inspection, inspecting and flowing correctly, for instructions, doing really all the tasks in the correct sequence and correctly, giving you 100% compliance because everything is registered. You can imagine all the paperwork, the follow-up emails, forget about it, and it goes down by 50%, and in some cases, even 70%. There is, because I can launch improvement suggestions with workflows, with Kappa workflows, there is a continuous improvement. I'll tell you if something is not the way it should be. And you can improve your workflow, for example, make it more clear. And then, again, you leverage the value of human observations like, okay, but this is not the way it should be. I'll take a little video and you'll be aware of it. And that while I'm here, while I'm doing the inspection, while I'm doing the instruction, and that is capturing, again, the value of what people are observing. You can imagine it will bring down the cost of quality, less mistakes made. It reduces, definitely when you work with remote assistance, you see what I see from a distance, no traveling needs. Improving execution efficiency, 2 hours to 1 hour, you've seen it. Or all of the administration that you don't need to do for an inspection because it's all captured. All the reports can be generated automatically and everything is recorded, so 100% compliance. And that's it. Connecting your workers is making it lean and reliable operations in life sciences.